This video is an addendum to the definitive edition of my color psychology video. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd recommend it. I put a lot of effort into it. I was politely informed by some of the people in the comments that some parts of the video were technically outdated because I used an older color wheel, as well as that I left out certain cultural associations with specific colors. So I'll go over those things I missed out on here. The definitive edition served more as a close one-to-one remake of the previous time I did it, so not a whole lot of the script was actually changed from the original. The editing will be a bit more sparse in this one in comparison, as I put a decent amount of effort into the previous one, so I'd like to be a bit easier on myself. The footage in the background will be loosely tied to the color I'm talking about, but other than that, there's not going to be a whole lot of impressive stuff happening on the screen. I'll also link some of the articles I took info from and leave those in the pinned comment. They're not in any particular order. I didn't cite them professionally, they're just links. They're not even alphabetically ordered. In the other video, I used the RBY color wheel, which has an equal distance between the colors red, blue, and yellow, the primary colors. This wheel served more of a purpose when artists were physically mixing paints, so it does still have a reason to exist, but it compressed many shades of blue and green into a tighter space. As digital software became the norm for most forms of design, a new wheel was introduced. This new one is the RGB, red, green, and blue color wheel, and with it, opposite or complementary colors are different. The primary, secondary, and tertiary colors also moved around a bit because of the different distribution within the wheel as well. With this new wheel, red and teal are opposites, blue and yellow are opposites, chartreuse and violet are opposites, green and purple are opposites, aquamarine and fuchsia are opposites, orange and cobalt are opposites, or a color that's typically referred to as cobalt. One of the main matters with the previous video is that I approached the association of the colors with a very Western perspective, so we'll cover the other parts of the globe here. One thing that was interesting is that it always seems like one place in the world always has an association with death and a specific color, so starting with black. Since the Industrial Revolution, black is now used a lot to represent professionalism, as well as the fashion industry, so it has an air of wealth and composure to its presence. In places like Eastern Asia, it can be linked to experience and age. In some parts of Africa, it can be linked to masculine qualities. In Thailand and Tibet, it's the color of evil. It's also associated with the concept of power across the globe. White. In some parts of Eastern Asia, white is linked to death. So unlike the West, some brides will use red wedding gowns, especially in India. In India, white is also associated with unhappiness. In many parts of the world, it's associated with religious practices and spirits. It's also linked to purity and peace around the world. Purple. In places like Brazil, purple is associated with misfortune. Throughout most of history, purple was one of the most expensive dyes to produce, so it's been tied to wealth and royalty for quite a long time. It's also commonly associated with mystery and magic. In China, it's sometimes associated with the healing of the mind or body. In Thailand, purple is the color of mourning. Blue has some of the least amount of negative associations with its hue, so it's used frequently in global advertising. It's also associated with lots of government agencies, since it's also associated with being rational and calm. In the Middle East, it's a color associated with protection as it wards off evil. In China, it's the color to represent immortality and sometimes trust, as well as it's considered feminine. It's also associated with wealth sometimes in the East. In Iran specifically, it's associated with spiritual practices. Green is associated with growth and health in the West. In Ireland, it's associated with the country and its people quite heavily, as well as luck. In many Islamic countries, green is tied to the Prophet Muhammad and paradise. That's one of the reasons why it's used in the flags of those nations. It's a very soothing and balanced color. In China specifically, green is associated with a man whose wife is cheating on him, especially a green hat. It's a pretty negative connotation because of it. In Indonesia, green is seen as bad or a forbidden color. In South America, it's the color of death. In India, yellow is linked with education, learning, knowledge, and merchants. In Egypt, it's the color of mourning. In the East, it's a color linked with the warding off of evil, as well as being linked with imperial and sacred things. Yellow is also associated with luck in the West. In Latin America, much like the color green, yellow is associated with death and mourning. In many parts of Africa, yellow is associated with wealth and status. Orange is associated with Halloween and creativity in the West. In Ireland, it has a religious affiliation. In the Netherlands, orange is very much linked with its sense of nationality, like Ireland and green. In the Middle East, it's linked to loss and mourning. Almost every country associates the idea of warmth with orange. In Japan, orange is the color of happiness, courage, and love. It's also psychologically associated with hunger and appetite. In some countries, it's linked with a product or company being inexpensive. In India, the shade of amber specifically is a very sacred color. In the East, especially China, red is associated with luck, fortune, and happiness. Much like India, it's used a lot for weddings and wedding dresses, although India links red to purity instead. In parts of Eastern Europe and Western Asia, it's associated with communism. In Celtic regions, it's sometimes used with things related to death and the afterlife. And in South Africa, red is the color of mourning. So in many places in the West, you wouldn't wear something formally red to a service of mourning. One interesting thing is that when people from different countries were asked to pick colors to represent strength, the most common pairs were shades of red and black. Also, you can kind of split the color wheel down the middle to get cool or warm associations. Although not every color is a perfect fit into those categories, such as green and purple not being as strongly associated as hot or cold when compared to others. In Latin American countries, when blue, red, and white are paired together, usually a dominant white, it's associated with religion, specifically Christianity. Most cultures currently, when told to pick colors that represent men and masculinity, will choose black, gray, and blue, while people tend to choose shades of red and pink for women and femininity. This may be a current cultural thing. Even in the last couple hundred years, this specific association has changed. Boys especially were associated with pink for a while, but now they're associated with blue and baby blue. Men may be associated with amber in 100 years, who knows. Shades of brown and dark green are picked frequently to represent the concept of old. Brown is also associated with poverty in some parts of the world. Also, I was corrected by a comment, and I looked it up. When cultures name colors, black and white are first, then red, then yellow or green, one after another, then blue, then brown, then every other color afterwards with no discernible pattern there. If you have anything to add or feel like I missed something, feel free to drop it in the comments. That's it for this one. I know it was a bit shorter. Take care.